because I was talking to a counselor one day, and I thought I was pregnant, and she said, "What do you mean by you're pregnant?" And I'm like, I've been having sexual intercourse. She's like, who you been having sexual intercourse with? At the time, I was fast in the butt, so I lost my virginity at the age of 12. I told her about a nephew that I was having sex with, and then she said, "You having sex with anybody else?" I said, "Yeah." She said, "Who?" I said, my foster mom's boyfriend.
Do you consider the thing with the nephew like a sexual trauma, or do you consider that just two kids just kind of being fast or whatever?
Trauma.
If he were to happen to somehow come across this video on YouTube, right, what do you think his thoughts and his reactions would be to hearing all this? Okay. I get so many mixed stories about kids that grew up in the system, but I would say that probably 80% of them are negative.
Yeah, a lot of them are.
That's wild.
What's up, YouTube? I want to once again thank everybody who comes up to me in the street and shows me real love. Y'all don't even know. It keeps me thankful. It keeps my tank full. Now back to the content.
What's up, YouTube? Atlanta Street Interviews out here with another one. So guys, we had to come in the car because it is freezing outside. It is a beautiful day, but it's freezing. How you doing today, miss?
Cold.
I know, that's right. So, are you homeless?
A little bit, kind of like both, not really.
Okay, it's like an in-between type of situation. Okay, how old are you?
26.
26, and so how long have you been in this in-between situation?
Oh, it's been years. It's been maybe 3 years, probably 4.
3-4 years? What happened 3-4 years ago that caused you to get into this situation?
I was in defects, and basically, make a long story short, I got into what you call like an IEP program, because when you in defects, you basically graduate from high school, and then if you're still inside, they're supposed to help you out with called an independent. And then so what happens from there is they send you off into a living program once you graduate, and if you don't want to be with your foster mom anymore. And make a long story short, I was always working through temp agencies, and I didn't really pay the rent that I guess I was supposed to be paying over. So I kind of got put out and then wound up a little bit. In my situation I'm in now.
Huh. What was you doing with the money?
Well, I was spending on a whole bunch of, nonsense stuff. I was young.
Well, I get that, right? And I empathize with, really anybody that grew up in, the defect system or anything like that. But you didn't know that you had to pay your rent?
I did know, but my problem was I never really got a real job, and they wanted me to get a real job because they want to see actual pay stub, and I was working through what you call people ready, and people ready only pay you by the day, and that kind of turns to a little bit of an issue because it's you need actual pay stubs if you're gonna be there. You can't be this working through temp page. They want you to have a real job, and I didn't go after that. I went more so out there the temp agencies because it was more fast money. You looking for a job, you trying to get on your feet, and you're young, you're not really thinking straight, so you just do first thing that comes to mind.
Right.
And for me, I went to temp agency.
Okay. So when you couldn't pay the rent, so describe to me what the 24 hours in between when you couldn't pay the rent and the last day that you was there, and then the next night you wasn't there. Where'd you go?
Okay, so when I was there and I couldn't pay the rent, they gave me a little bit of time to come up with the rent, and I was trying to come up with the rent money, but I didn't have that much time because I had already been there for I think 2 years, because I got there when I was 20. I got kicked out when I was probably when I aged out defects. I aged out defects at age 21 to age 22. That was when I became homeless. And basically, make a long story short, they advised me to go to a cookout job that was hiring at the time. I went to the cookout job, and the job basically never really paid my check, and I kind of got into it with the people that was working back there because it was a little kind of messy working in the back of the kitchen. So naturally, they sent me off to court, and because I didn't have the money right then and there, I got put out of the program. And then basically from there, I asked some person at the gas station at the time that was getting gas. I told them about it. I was I'm getting kicked out, I don't know what to do. And I was well, just calm down. I can see if I can get you a little bit of help. So that's what happened from there.
Well, what did they do?
Oh, let's see. They put me inside of their place for a little while, and then they told me that I couldn't stay there because they were staying with other people, and they didn't know if it was gonna be cool. So I think they helped me get into a shelter from there. So long ago, I really can't remember.
Huh. Okay. And so when you say you're kind of homeless or whatever right now, or you have some level of options, what are you referring to?
Okay, so when I say like I'm kind of homeless, I mean like I stay with a friend. He's a really good friend. He's helping me out right now. It's just that I'm a little bit in a boat because I'm knocked up right now. I'm pregnant.
Yeah, we see you got this big belly. Like you got a whole basketball in there.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm 9 months. I'm almost due, and I'm having.
Is he the father of the child?
No, the father of the child, he put his hands on me during the time when he found out I was pregnant, and you know, it started a whole altercation, and I basically had to call the cops on him, so we don't deal with each other anymore. The only reason why I say I kind of have help right now is because I have a friend that, you know, recently found out about it, my situation. About 2 years ago, I had been staying with him on and off, but you know, me and him kind of got into it, so I wasn't always there with him. So I was, like I said, you know, trying to get on my feet. That's why I said it's been a while since I've been kind of like in the predicament I'm in right now. And basically,
so these male friends that you have, I'm imagining that there's also some level of like romantic involvement as well.
It used to be, but not anymore, because like things didn't really work out.
Well, right. And so that one of the things I keep hearing is that we got into it. So it's like, you know, you're describing as kind of getting into it with everybody. So, you know, that means that you're the common denominator in that, right? So how much of this is like you just getting into it with people and not, you know, being cooperative?
It's been a while, because I'm not gonna lie to you. Like when I got involved with the father of my child, it was because I had decided to leave, because you know, we got into a little bit of an argument, and I decided to leave him alone. And then I got into a bad relationship with him because he told me like, yeah, you know, he would help me because of the situation I was in, and because I was homeless at the time, and he basically kind of just like ran game with me. And of course I fell for it, not, you know, using my head. I should have been a little bit more smart about the situation, but of course I wasn't. And basically the end result is I wound up, you know, knocked up.
How long did y'all live together for?
We actually didn't stay together. He was just with me for about 2 years on and off, and that's what started issues.
Where did he live?
He was staying with his mom.
Okay. Okay, so all right. And so do you have any kids already? No? Okay, so this will be your first. And so have you ever been married?
No.
Okay, so let's just start from the beginning. So where you from?
Here, Atlanta.
You from here? You a Grady baby? Okay, hey man, shout out the ATL, man. Shout out them Grady babies all day long. And so growing up here in Atlanta, did you have both mom and dad in the household?
When I was first born, up until like I think like 4 or 5, I did, and then kind of stopped because they had issues.
Okay, so what age do you remember going into the system?
It was very young, like I said, so it was about like literally like 4 or 5, because my father was fighting for custody, my mom was fighting for custody, and they kind of threw us like in the system. So at that point, we kind of like didn't have both parents anymore, because my dad gave up and my mom was the only one that was fighting for us at one point.
Well, why did they lose you guys?
They had infidelity relationship issues going on, and there was a lot of cheating and a whole lot of fighting, and apparently my mom had issues that my dad didn't know about.
Like drug issues or something like that?
She had like medical issues, like where she was schizophrenic, and she would have like episodes sometimes, and she would lash out.
Okay. So 4 or 5, I mean, do you like remember like living with them at one point and then not living with them?
I do, because they were in and out of my life, because like I said, they were fighting for custody, so I kind of remember, just not everything. I just remember certain pieces, like not everything, because they wasn't fully there.
What impact do you think the in and out nature of that had on you and your life and just your upbringing?
Negative.
In what way?
In all ways, because I didn't know how to choose the right man, and I always chose the wrong kind of people to be inside my life. And then when it came down for me choosing the right people, and people tried to tell me to do right, I didn't always listen, because I was bullheaded. So it didn't impact me in a good way at all. It just impacted me in a very negative way, because then I had to learn from my own mistakes, and me learning from my own mistakes was the biggest thing I could have.
All right, make a soft ass.
Yeah.
All right, make a soft ass every time. I'm gonna go ahead and ask, right, when you were younger, did anything like ever happen to you or anything like that?
Yeah. I was molested and I was abused.
What age did those things occur?
I can't remember exactly like what age I was in. I was in middle school. I was probably going about 11 or 12. I don't know. I'm not really for sure. It's probably 14, but I was molested by one of my foster parents' boyfriend, and at the time she didn't believe me, so she lost her rights. And it kind of started an issue, because I was staying with my oldest brother at the time, and he liked it to people. So you know, I don't really like to talk about it too much.
So that kind of messed it up for him, type deal.
Mm-hmm.
And so did he blame you for that?
For a while he did. I think he might have probably got over it in the future once he realized that, you know, it was a bad thing that happened to me, because at first he didn't want to believe it. Nobody wants to believe it, but it turned out that it was actually true. You know, I wasn't lying about it.
Did the boyfriend, did he like go as far as like having sex with you, or was it
just touching?
Okay, so it's touching inappropriately.
Mm-hmm.
And so when that happened, you told right away, or was there like some time period in between? Or
I told, like, not right away, like some time in between, because I was what you call in special ed classes, so I didn't even know what was really going on. I just know it didn't feel right, and I wanted to stop. And make a long story short, it happened because I was talking to a counselor one day, and I thought I was pregnant, and she said, "What do you mean by you're pregnant?" And I'm like, you know, I've been having sexual intercourse. She's like, who you been having sexual intercourse with? At the time, I was fast in the butt, so I lost my virginity at the age of 12. I told her about a nephew that I was having sex with, and then she said, "You having sex with anybody else?" I said, "Yeah." She said, "Who?" I said, my foster mom's boyfriend." And she called, you know, CPS at that point.
Oh, so y'all were having sex?
I guess you could say something like that, because it felt like it was sexual, because it was a little kind of uncomfortable, and because it was, you know, him touching on like my private areas and stuff. So I didn't know what I was doing. I was just answering the questions, all to my honesty. Like, you know, when they asked me something, I didn't know I was telling on him. I just was answering what they was asking me.
Yeah, that's shocking to me that you was in IEP classes, because you don't seem like you have any mental deficiency or anything like that.
Well, I do. I was born as a preemie child, and I don't think I stayed in my mom for that long. So I think I was born maybe 6 months. I know it wasn't a full 9 months, so that also impacted me, because my brain was not fully developed. And
do you get like a check every month?
I was supposed to, but like I said, because, you know, I don't always listen, I denied it because I thought it was them trying to pick at me. But no, I actually don't, because I denied it at the time when they were trying to give it to me.
Ooh, so you bullheaded for real. Lord Jesus. Okay. So, you say that you was having sex with your nephew?
No, with her nephew, my foster mom's nephew.
Your foster mom's nephew?
Yes, because at the time she was very controlling, and she didn't trust me around any boys, and I could never understand why. And so it kind of pushed off my sexual attention onto the opposite sex. And one of the opposite sex that she did allow me to be around that was my age was one of her nephews.
And he was the same age as you, or a little bit older, or what?
Same age.
Same age. Wow. So y'all were 12 doing that?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. How often?
Not very often. It's only sometimes, like whenever we got the chance to do it.
And that was full-on sex?
Huh? Yeah, it was full-on sex.
Okay. So you knew what sex was. That's what I was asking. Like,
but not really, because he was my first.
Okay. And so he was your first. Was you doing the same things with him that you was as the boyfriend, your foster mom's boyfriend?
It was getting to that point, but I got very uncomfortable, and I didn't know if it was ever going to stop, because, you know, I didn't like, because when I was doing it, I just thought it was a feeling that felt good, but then it began to feel uncomfortable because of his age. So it was like, I felt like it was a sexual relationship, because it was my private areas being involved, and I wanted it to stop, and I didn't know how to stop it. Was he like doing oral to you and stuff like that, or whatever, or? No, it was a lot of touching and vibrating and stuff like that. Okay. So, what impact do you think that had on you? I'm sorry, hold on real quick. Let me, I got this phone ringing. That's okay, good.
Give me 1 second. Okay.
Atlanta City Detention Center. Your account balance is $4.
Okay, sorry about that.
It's okay, good. It's fine.
All right. So let's regroup. So, what impact do you think that these sexual traumas? Well, for one, do you consider the thing with the nephew like a sexual trauma, or do you consider that just two kids just kind of being fast or whatever?
Trauma, because of me not being able to hang around the opposite sex, it kind of got me involved into like the wrong things. And I feel like had she allowed me to be around the opposite sex, and had she just had the sexual talk with me as to why she didn't want me to be around boys, it would have never happened. But she was always the type where she panicked, and she would, you know,
overreact and just not be communicative Not be straight up about things, you know?
Like, we never had the sex talk. So I didn't understand, like, what it was I was doing. Then me taking special ed classes was even worse because when I was doing it, I knew I was doing something, but I didn't know what it was. So I was very off.
But you say that you just knew that it felt good at first. Okay, wow. Okay. And so did he, like, end up going to jail for that or anything like that?
Well, her boyfriend did because he was the nephew. He just got into a lot of trouble because I almost wound up pregnant from the whole situation.
Almost wound up pregnant?
Because,
How do you almost get pregnant?
Because I think I was his first too, so, I think he might have probably almost ejaculated. And so, it led to me having been put out of her house because, I was so young. And then the fact I was taking...
How did she find out?
I told her.
About the nephew?
Well, after they found out
about the guy, then you told her about the nephew.
Yeah, because remember I told you the school got involved when they were asking me was I sexually active.
Okay, so you and the nephew was doing it for like a few years, it sounds like.
A few months. Because I wasn't with her for that long, and it wasn't like all the time. It only happened like sometimes, like I said.
Okay. So you had like a pregnancy scare, it sounds like you... Okay. Okay. Huh. So you was only with her for like a few months.
No, for a few years.
A few years.
It wasn't all the time when her nephew was around.
Okay. And so, like, okay. Because were you with other families? Like, were you with like a bunch of different families, or was it just like, kind of like one or two?
With her? Well, with her, it was like she only allowed certain people around us.
Well, what I'm saying is the years that you wasn't with her, was there someone else that you live with or whatever?
It were other foster parents, yes.
Okay. Did any of that kind of crazy stuff go on in any of those other households?
I went through what you call child abuse.
What happened?
Well, I was with the foster parent, and because I wanted to be back with my mom so bad, I don't remember exactly what happened, but I remember I got slapped in my face about a good 20 times by her daughter because she took her hands and she physically hit me with her hands in my face, and I was so young at the time, I didn't know what to do. I just let it happen.
How old were you?
I can't remember. I was probably maybe 9 or 10. I don't know.
Wow.
Probably maybe a little bit younger than that. I don't really remember. I just remember it happened. And I remember she would take my hair when she would do my hair in a ponytail, and she would slam my head against the wall.
What?
And I was scared of saying anything, so my oldest brother actually said something for me.
Wow. Huh. Okay. I get so many mixed stories about kids that grew up in the system, but I would say that probably 80% of them are negative.
Yeah, a lot of them are.
That's wild. And I guess I really empathize with the fact that it sounds like you didn't receive the basic life training that you needed to receive. Because, like, things like, just like, I don't know, it just seems like I'll say this. It sounds like you get in your own way a lot.
I did.
Okay, so what are we going to do to change that pattern?
I don't know. I'm the soon-to-be mother, and the father situation's not really good, but I don't really want to do adoption or defects because I know the trauma that it comes with, and I don't really want anything to happen to my child because I don't want to have to go to jail or anything, because if something happened to my child, I might probably,
crash out.
Yeah, I might probably crash out because it's my first child. So I'm trying to learn to take more accountability, and take responsibility for more of like my actions and not point the finger, and just learn from my mistakes. I'm trying to prepare myself to be a young mother.
And I love that. It just, I wonder why people, and I get it because I've lived this, I've had to be humbled as well, but I wonder why people have to be humbled in order to get here, to get to this place. You know what I'm saying? Like, why can't we get here like before life kind of kicks us in the butt a little bit,
I didn't always listen. Like I said, I was bullheaded, and I had a lot of issues growing up, and me not having my mother and my father there, and wanting my mother and my father at the time, it impacted me in a negative way, like I said.
Do you have a relationship with them now?
No, my mom was hit by a train, so...
Oh, man, I'm sorry to hear about that.
She survived, but the only problem is I don't know where she is, because I recently found out that she's been missing for 3 years, and I don't know where her boyfriend took her, who was her caregiver. My father, I don't know where he is, because I had a phone, and make long story short, because of me being homeless in another situation, it wound up stolen, and Apple is connected to like what you call iCloud, and iCloud is connected to a number, and since it was stolen, I wasn't able to keep up that number. So
what's your dad's name?
Derek.
Derek what?
Derek Augustus Barnes.
Okay, well, I mean, you know, we got a lot of junior detectives on this channel. So I can almost guarantee you within 48 hours, he will be located. Okay, so just reach back out to me on my email, or, you know, if you get this phone from Ray, I'll let you get my number or whatever. And, you know, just reach back out to me, because I can guarantee you he'll probably be located within, you know, 48 hours. So.
Well, if he is, well, he'd be having his first grandchild on the way.
If he were to happen to somehow come across this video on YouTube, right, what do you think his thoughts and his reactions would be to hearing all this?
A little bit of disappointment, but then again, I don't know, because I don't really know how my father really thinks that well, because, you know, he kind of wasn't really there in my life fully. I know he tried to be there, but then he got into it with my mom and he couldn't. So I don't really know what his full reaction would be. Probably a little bit of disappointment because of who I'm knocked up by. So not really for sure. Maybe a little bit upset and maybe a little bit neutral.
Okay. All right. Well, listen, miss, we really appreciate you taking the time answering all of our questions. If anybody out there wanted to reach out, help, or donate, do you have a way for them to do that? Do you have social media, Cash App, anything like that?
One day I have Cash App, but if, you know, people don't want to say anything, that's fine, you know, because it's no one else's fault, my own fault. You know, I got myself in this situation, so, you know, it's cool, whatever it is.
Yeah, I mean, but just in case, you know, what is the Cash App?
The Cash App is $Trixie 14.
How do you spell Trixie?
Trixie is spelled capital T, capital T, and then everything else is lowercase, and then it's RIXY. And it's just $, Trixie.
And then 14?
Yep.
Okay. I don't know if I believe this mental deficiency stuff. You're sounding fairly intelligent to me. You're able to diagnose your problems. You're able to see what you have going on clearly. I don't know if I'm believing this stuff, man. I think they should be telling people this stuff sometimes. And parents be pushing it so they can get a check. Okay? Your foster mom or whoever probably pushed it to get a check. But there's nothing about you that has smacked me as any type of mental anything.
Well,
you seem like a fairly intelligent young lady to me.
No, it's true. It's true.
I don't believe it. All right. Well, like I say, we really appreciate you and definitely wish you nothing but the best, okay?
Well, thank you.
Make sure you have a good one, sweetie.
You too.
All right.